What's good, y'all? It's Sean P, the Bluff God. Hey, we back with another reaction stream. Man, we been going kind of hard with these streams this week, man. I must say. But yeah, today we will be reacting to my fellow One Piece content creator and friend ELiDZ part two of his Red Sea theory. The title of the video is "The Deepest One Piece Theory: The Red Sea of Hell." Food for thought, part two. So yeah, that's what we will be reacting to today. Let me give me a second, yo. But yeah, that's what we're gonna be reacting to today. I was gonna do the law one, but I decided to do ELiDZ theory. You know, it's been out for a couple days now. Now I wanted to get to him. I wanted to get to him, and we Cube, you a nut, man. As your bro Cube. Hey man, I can tell it's you. I see your name when you post. What's up though, man? What's up, Cube? How you doing? But yeah, let me but yeah, so we're gonna do part two of his theory that we did a couple days ago. And but before we get to that, let me start off by saying make sure you give your boy a big old like. Hit that like button. Subscribe if you haven't already. I'm doing a giveaway at 50 subscribers. And the details of that giveaway will be, I'll explain that after after we reach that milestone. Please make sure you follow me on Instagram and Twitter at BlumpGod, and I also have a Facebook page where I post content. So make sure you follow me there. Links all in the description, as well as the One Piece Discord and the One Piece Facebook group for anybody who wants to join a community and talk One Piece. Oh man, them smoothie burps, man, they be getting me. Cube said hype for part two. It's an interesting and unique one. Yeah, the theory, yeah, it definitely is. But I believe it's one of those things that kind of had to be talked about. Why? Why do I think it has to be talked about? Is because like we got characters like Magellan. I'm trying to think of a few other that fit this mode. Because right now I'm having like brain farts right now. We got Magellan. We got the guy who was Magellan's vice warden. What was his name? Help me out in the chat if somebody knows. The guy who was the vice warden to Magellan, and then he became the warden after the Impel Down escape. Him and trying to think of other characters that fit that mode. There's a few characters that fit that mode that they look like demons almost, and we never really explain what race they are and where they came from, where that race come from. We know Skypeans, Skypeans, we know what they look like. We know what the long leg and the long arm tribe people look like. The giants, we know what they look like. But these like demon looking characters that we have, I want to say Miss Shirley or Madam Shirley or whatever. And that one girl with the pink hair and like she has these little horns. She's like one of Big Mom's children. Hannibal, yeah. Hannibal, him. But like there's if you could name some in the chat that Moria, Gecko Moria, of course, yeah, him. Like where do these characters come from? Where do these characters come from? And I think, it's something that nobody ever really talks about. And I'm glad that ELiDZ is definitely expanding a little more with his own speculations and theories. Cube he said, I like how he's talking about the material for Poneglyph. Yeah, that too. I never thought about what's it called, something blowing, the parablowing or something like that. And they says Hannibal, which yeah, that's when he helped me. We never talked about the poneglyph and their origin. Yeah, that's true. Mardia is also similar. Black Maria. Black Maria. I don't know. I don't know if I would count Black Maria personally, but I mean, maybe. I guess Or's family. The thing about Or's, right? The thing about Or's, I believe Or's is like a ogre almost. You know, like I think he falls more under like the giants, but I guess you could count him in there too. But he falls closer to what like Kaido is. You know, like an ogre to me. That's kind of what I see when I look at Or's, because you know he got the horns like similar to Kaido. But yeah, all have those demon horns. I mean, you just said it. But I suspected they're Oni ogre, but the Red Sea is intriguing. I mean, I guess you could kind of put like the Onis and the you know like the Oni type people into that category as well. Makes sense, you know. But yeah, let's actually get into this video though. Let's start this video. I'm pretty pumped to hear what he got to say, how he's building off of part one. And then I think it's like the sky people. What you mean is like the sky people? That like that you're intrigued like the sky people? Oh, the different types of sky people. I mean, yeah. But even the sky people kind of, you know, look similar. They just, you know, they got like different subtle differences. But yeah, let's get into it. Maybe the same with them. Yeah, maybe. The link to this video will be in the description box, so please, I implore you, go to the original video and give him a like. You know, I know he puts a lot of work into these theories and into these videos as well. So make sure you give him a like and go subscribe. Go watch his other videos. He makes pretty good videos. But let's get into the video. The deepest One Piece theory, the Sea of Hell, food for thought. And this is part 2. ELiDZ said Onis are considered demons in Japan. Fair. Definitely fair. You know. I mean, I guess you could throw them in there too. With the demonic characters.
I will go over how it is the people of the Red Sea can survive.
Let me wind it to the beginning. ELiDZ said it's like how you have Japanese dragons and Eastern dragons in OP. Yeah. Have we seen like a real Eastern dragon though that wasn't like manufactured? Because we know that one in Punk Hazard was like an Eastern or Western dragon. And hold on, wouldn't Japanese dragons be Eastern dragons? I always thought like the Western dragons were more like, you know, like Kaido's kind of like a Japanese dragon or Western dragon, I would think, or Eastern dragon. But yeah, I don't know. I would have to look.
In the first part of this theory, I went in depth on what I believe the Red Sea, aka Hell, to be in the world of One Piece. In this installment, I will go over how it is the people of the Red Sea can survive and even flourish. Before you start this, I would advise that you watch my Understanding Haki Part 2, because it'll detail why I believe Haki to have elemental properties, and most relevant, why armament at its most basic level has the element of earth, and why at its highest level takes on the form of fire.
Well, ELiDZ, I don't think. Well, I don't know if you know the people viewing this video have watched the hockey videos, but you know we gonna watch it anyway. We still gonna watch it.
To clarify, the people of the Red Sea are who I presume to be demons and dark angels. I believe the demons have lived in the Red Sea for many millennia, whereas the dark angels, aka Lunarians, only made their way down there around 1,000 years before the present story. In order to figure out how the Lunarians quickly adapted to the Red Sea, we must first figure out how it is the demons lived for many generations down in hell for thousands of years. It's quite simple, really. They live in a tough environment, thus the demons' already naturally tough bodies got even tougher.
Yeah.
Let's really break down their toughness. I believe that it is a product of evolution. The demon race may have originally been humans, but over time, not only evolved physically, but spiritually as well. The physical aspects are easy to grasp.
With a tough reputation, the lava cricket lives among the volcanoes of Hawaii's Big Island. Called Uhine Pele in Hawaiian, they're almost the only creature on Earth that lives on lava flows. They can survive the harsh and barren environments created by the lava as soon as it begins to cool. These minuscule bugs are only a centimeter long and have simple needs. The lava fields are too harsh, hot, and devoid of life for most things to survive. There's very little water here, as rainfall evaporates on contact with the cooling lava's hot surface. These hardy crickets live off drifts of dead plants, seaweed, and sea foam, and happily skate along the lava surface. One big upside of living where nothing else does is that nothing can come along and kill you. These little bugs have been left to happily breed in large numbers.
Deep below the Indian Ocean, in some of the most extreme environments on Earth.
Yeah, man, this is the only animal we know of with hockey. Well, armament hockey. It's the armament hockey snail. That's what we should call it.
There's a snail.
Before I get in that, let me read the chat. Said only do have the double meaning. I forget. And he says, "Hey man, talking to ELiDZ, I guess." ELiDZ said, "My bad. I meant Western and Eastern. That's cool. I thought maybe I was wrong, honestly. Like I know I'd be, maybe. Yeah, I thought I could have been wrong. But is the Chinese dragon and the Japanese dragon are they the same? Because isn't Kaido like a Chinese dragon almost? Well, I mean, I guess they could be the same Chinese dragon and the Japanese dragon. Q said, we've only seen Kaido and Monkey D. Dragon. As far as dragons, that's not the only dragons we've seen, man. We've seen that dragon over in Punk Hazard. I mean, even though it was artificial dragon, the one that Kinemon was attached to, it was fake though. And then we seen those, what were they called? It was a filler though. It was a filler, but it was like a filler early in the series where there was some dragons. It was like this island, a bunch of these little dragons. I can't remember, but it was filler, so it's not canon. And Cube said, so Whitebeard being taller was like a human transitioning, and if he had future generations, his family would have become Oni. I don't know about that. Maybe giants. I don't even know if they become giants, honestly. I think that's what needs to be. I think like I should do a stream where we talk about like height, man. Like ELiDZ, man, we might have to collaborate on some type of stream where we talking about like why certain characters are like they're not giants, but yet they're bigger than normal humans. Because that's interesting. I always thought like why Whitebeard was much bigger than most humans, and then you got Katakuri, who's bigger than most humans. But they're not really considered giants, though. They're much smaller than giants still. And then ELiDZ said, shout out to you for putting me on to armament hockey snails. Hey, bro. They're pretty fascinating. When you look at them, man, they look like they got that. They definitely do look like they have that armament hockey on them. Cube said, one is weather and one is fire. No. Yep, because the height aspect is strange. When you said one is weather, one is fire, are you talking about like dragon wise? Because I think that kind of is the case. I think like the Eastern dragons is more like fire, like they blow fire, the Western dragons, and then the Eastern dragons, I think maybe could manipulate the weather, if that's what you're saying. And then ELiDZ said, I don't think Whitebeard's descendants would become demons because they live on the surface. Demons evolved in the hell, aka the island of the Red Sea. And then Q said, talking about dragons. Yeah. Well, let's get into this hockey snail. This armament hockey snail.
That has developed a unique and incredible strategy for protecting itself from danger. It builds itself an iron suit of armor. It's called the Scalyfoot snail, or Chrysomalon squamiferum, if you want to get technical. Its name comes from the hundreds of stiff, dark scales that cover its fleshy foot, the part of the snail's body it uses to scooch around. It turns out those dark scales and the snail's shells are coated in a layer of iron. Specifically, they contain iron sulfide compound.
I told you, confirmed, coated in the layer of iron. What they mean in iron? What do they mean iron? They mean hockey. You know, it's just in the real world, you know, not everybody's hip on hockey. So, you know, they just gonna call it iron. But that's hockey, baby. That's hockey, baby.
The snails are somehow able to harness the minerals for themselves. No other animal is known to incorporate iron into its skeleton, or in this case, exoskeleton.
Survival of the fittest meant that the strongest demons among them would procreate to create even stronger demons each generation. Thus, they have iron-tough bodies, similar to that of the Vinsmokes. Although unlike the Vinsmokes, who were forced to evolve, the demons did so progressively and naturally. Thus, their bodies aren't like Tin Men and more malleable like regular skin. When I say they evolve spiritually, what you get is the same end result as if they were to evolve physically, which ends up just being a tougher body. However, it is done in a different way. First thing to consider is that despite hockey being spiritual, it can affect a user physically. I talk about this briefly in Understanding Hockey Part 2, but I focus on it entirely in my video showing why Rokushiki is hockey. Basically, in addition to biologically having tough bodies, the demons also subconsciously use Tekai with the hockey they are unaware of. To present this, let's look at Big Mom, who is someone that has shown to have an incredibly tough body. You could easily say it's because she learned to use strong armament hockey over the years of being a pirate. However, she has always had an exceptionally strong and tough body. Thus, it would lead one to believe her toughness is strictly biological and physical. However, there are two reasons this is false. First, we've seen her biological parents, and neither are exceptional. That is the very reason they gave her up to Mother Carmel. She was too strong for them to handle.
Man, Big Mom is like a freak of nature, though, you know. She was like way bigger than her parents, you know. Unless it was like a giant that like impregnated the dude. Like let's say Big Mom's mom cheated on her dad and, you know, got pregnant by a giant. And, you know, so Big Mom's dad really a giant or something. Yeah, because she's too big to be, like, produced by two humans. Two normal-sized humans.
Secondly, when Big Mom witnessed Mother Caramel's picture being shattered, she then becomes susceptible to being injured physically. What that tells us is that Big Mom's physical durability can be affected by her mental state, which is something that happens when using armament hockey. Also consider this, how out of all the dozens of children that Big Mom has, none of them have been shown to replicate that same toughness that Big Mom should be able to biologically pass down to her children.
Yeah.
We will discuss this and more in part 3 of this theory.
Oh, so we getting to part 3. But yeah, it's like, yeah, Big Mom, I guess she consciously or subconsciously has like hockey. You know, she's like subconsciously always had like an active coat of hockey. I could see it being something like that. Like not even realizing it. She just always has a coat of hockey. And let me look at the chat. It says, or Cube says, I believe with Rokushiki being hockey, caught it in Fishman Island. ELiDZ said Tekai literally means iron mass in English, and Viz translate it as iron body. Probably should put an emphasis to that in the video. Okay. And then Cube said, I believe Big Mom is linked to the giant project Vegapunk was doing in Punk Hazard. Also, you think that maybe she was like a child of, like she was maybe experimented on maybe before she was born or something? Like maybe her parents went to Vegapunk and while the mom was pregnant, and or maybe they done it unknowingly. You know, maybe their parents was being used as a test subject and they without knowing. And I mean, that's interesting. That'd be kind of interesting. I won't lie to you about that. If she does have some type of relation with that whole gigantification project. And ELiDZ said, think about this. Pound is huge and Big Mom is even bigger, yet their daughters are smaller. One of them must have passed on the genes for them to be smaller. It's most likely Linlin. I'm trying to... So are you saying like her being a giant is pretty much not natural? You know what I'm saying? Like she shouldn't naturally be as big as she is. Because again, that could kind of go off of what Cube just said about the whole Vegapunk like gigantification project he was doing. And he said either experimented or she was an example to follow. Okay. I don't know, man. I don't know. You know, it does always kind of. It's always like that curious case of why Big Mom is bigger than her parents and her kids. Like she's just kind of different from them. You know, like she is an outlier, I guess. And maybe that's just what it is. Maybe just some humans are outliers. You know, they just grow. You know, they have like a condition or something. Maybe there's a condition in One Piece to where some humans could grow bigger than others. I don't know.
For now, let's just focus on the idea of Big Mom having automatic inherent armament haki. If you think about when the Red Scavengers ambushed Kaido and pierced him, he was also having flashbacks to memories that traumatized him. I believe the demons of the Red Sea not only evolved to have tougher skin, but unconsciously became spiritually in tune with their surroundings, which means just like the islands they live on that can withstand the heat of the magma, they too develop exteriors as tough as iron. However, that only covers their exterior protection. Their insides have to be protected as well. And I don't think the same solution for the exterior applies to the interior of demons. Their organs could be rock solid, but that would be counterproductive in getting those organs to actually function. Let's look at two references from the manga to speculate the solution. First off, Sanji referred to the hearts of his siblings to be as cold as ice. In my Understanding Haki series, I say that Haki is a vibrational energy. All things vibrate, and I choose to use water as an example to show how things vibrating at various speeds produce various results. At the lowest vibration of H2O, you get a solid known as ice. All beings have Haki and use it even when they aren't consciously aware that the concept of Haki exists. They can unknowingly strengthen their Haki.
So at the lowest vibration would be ice. So the lowest vibration of Haki, which you're saying is the hardening, and then you get the fluid aura, which is kind of like is it kind of like what's it called? That technique that Hyogoro was teaching Luffy and Udon. What is it called? I can't remember what it's called, but it's just Haki basically, like a projection of your Haki. but that would be more like like water, maybe like fluid, the fluid aura, and then fiery aura. I'm not sure what that would be. So if ice is like the hardening of armament haki, Rio, okay, yeah, the fluid aura would be Rio. What about the fiery aura? Is that like what would the fire aura be? Let me look at the chat. It says we see. Let me see where I was at. Either experiment on. Q said either experiment on or she was example to follow. I think I read that already. ELiDZ said if Linlin isn't physically or biologically huge, it would explain why she can pass down her mutation. If she isn't physically or biologically huge, do you think maybe it's like haki, like maybe her innate ability, her innate haki somehow affects her her DNA maybe, and cause her to almost force some type of a evolutionary process within her. Maybe that's why she's big compared to, her parents and her children. And Cube said, I always thought that Punk Hazard was a short but important arc. Yeah, I agree with you on that. I definitely agree. I'm always curious of where Caesar's going to come back into the story, because I think he will, and I think when he comes back, he'll be more of an ally. Because I think when he kind of split, he didn't really want to leave the Straw Hats, man. He kind of was like, he kind of wanted to, I think he kind of wanted to stick with them after a while. Cube said Rio, yeah, Rio. And then ELiDZ said Rio is fluid. Hirogoro kept on telling Luffy to let his haki flow. No, I get it. It definitely makes sense. It's like a fluid, it's like a fluid armor almost. And kind of to talk about that, like, you have, there was one part, right? Like, if you like, what's the fat guy, the fat sumo guy who accompanies Kizaru? He's like Dr. Vegapunk's bodyguard or something. He looked like he might be from Wano or something. He had he was hitting Luffy with Rio, but then there was a part where he kind of put his hands together, and there was a part in Marineford when all the admirals, when I want to say when Whitebeard created that big earthquake, and then we seen all the admirals stand up and put their arms up. You think that would be more of the fiery aura, or is that just Rio? Like, ELiDZ, would you consider that Rio, or would you consider that like more the fiery aspect? But yeah, so ELiDZ said the fiery aura is like Red Hawk, Firefox, Kinemon, Efrit Jambi, and the pyrokinesis of the Lunarians are examples of fiery aura. So even like Sanji too, I would probably assume Sanji would go into that, as well as maybe Shishui, or not Shishui. What is it called? Zoro's Ashura form. So with Ashura be kind of the fiery aura, or would you say Ashura is more of a conqueror's haki type thing? And then Q said Kentamaru is Sentamaro. Something like that. It's something like Sentamaro. But yeah, I think it's with an S. I do remember it being with an S. So it's like Sentamaro. But yeah.
Aware that the concept of haki exists. They can unknowingly strengthen their haki. This was proven when Blackbeard mentioned that Luffy's haki got stronger at a time prior to his training with Rayleigh. The physical and spiritual are two sides of the same coin. So the humans that become demons not only have their spiritual energy gain a lower vibration, but their physical bodies as well. And by that I mean they earned a lower temperature. In order for the demons to counteract the immense heat that surrounds them, they need tough, heat-resistant exteriors as well as very cold interiors to balance out the heat they constantly receive. Which could go to show that these demons don't just have metaphorical ice-cold hearts, but also literal hearts as cold as ice. The second reference to show this point is Queen's invention known as the Ice Oni bullets. Isn't it odd that not only do they get colder but also turn into demons? What is the given connection between demons and turning cold? Perhaps Queen somehow knows how to turn on the same genetic factor in demons that turn them cold.
What about Brook? You got Brook as well. Brook, something about Brook, like he uses ice almost, like he freezes people with his attacks. ELiDZ said effort Jinbei. I was thinking you meant Jinbei, like the character. I forgot Sanji's attack was called effort Jinbei, or Janbei. Is the evolved form of Diablo Janbei, and I think Ashura is Conqueror's haki as well. Okay. But yeah, kind of talking about the cold, right? We got the I'm gonna let you finish. I'm gonna kind of rewind it a little bit, but we talked about Queen using ice, and you kind of talk about ice and demons. You look at Brook; he's not necessarily a demon, but you look at like a talking skeleton. That kind of has to do with the whole horror. Like when you look at the whole horror genre, kind of with like demons and fallen angels and monsters like ogres, and then you look at like a talking skeleton, and then you got Brook, which I would assume Brook because he's close to the afterlife, right? He's close to that afterlife, so him having attacks that are ice based, like that coldness that you get in afterlife, kind of makes sense, you know. But let's
as ice. The second reference to show this point is Queen's invention known as the Ice Oni bullets. Isn't it odd that not only do they get colder but also turn into demons? What is the given connection between demons and turning cold? Perhaps Queen somehow knows how to turn on the same genetic factor in demons that turn them cold. However, humans that live on the surface have no need to be that cold, thus it becomes a detriment to their health. In fact, Ors died at a relatively young age despite his tremendous strength. While being in his prime, he died due to cold temperature. Perhaps he had a body that wasn't made to survive in the cold, but rather the opposite extreme temperature. In fact, he may have been oblivious to his own weakness due to his interior being naturally cold. Notice that he specifically stated to have frostbite, which is the injury that affects the skin. That covers just about everything I wanted to say about the demon race. Now let's talk about Lunarian. I don't believe they originated in the Red Sea, but I do believe they had reason to go to the Red Sea. We will talk more about this in part 3. What I want to talk about is why King has the abilities he has.
ELiDZ says, I think Brook's Devil Fruit allows him to use haki in a deviated way. His soul scream is like Conqueror's haki. His use of ice could be his Devil Fruit's version of armament. I mean, you did also say like Devil Fruits are kind of like a shortcut to haki mastery. So with his Devil Fruit, you know, I could see his Devil Fruit kind of allowing him certain like haki-ish type abilities, you know, without him actually having to have mastery over haki, you know. But yeah, it makes sense. You know, thinking back to what you said before in your theories. Man, let's go talk about these Lunarians, baby.
Like we seen with the winged people on Sky Islands, the Lunarians were originally adept at using observation haki, while knowing little about armament haki. When they eventually found themselves in the Red Sea, they had to adapt to their environment. Sure, they could just increase their armament haki, but that wouldn't be enough. They had hundreds of years to catch up to the biological evolution that...
So if the Lunarians are more proficient in the spiritual than the physical, then how can they use that spiritual energy and wisdom to compensate where they lack physically? Figuring that out will solve why King's powers work the way they do.
Demons had. Imagine how exhausting it would be to have active armament haki 24/7 for the rest of your life. That's why I think they went beyond the demons' inherent armament haki and learned how to add layers of armament. The inherent armament that demons use is like that of Tekai. It makes a person more durable through the use of physical strength.
Think back to all the times we have seen Kaido take damage. How often have we seen him use black cloak coating? We never see. I don't remember ever seeing Kaido actually use armament. You know, I feel like he probably been fighting in his base this whole time. Honestly, if you think about it, it's just been base Kaido this whole time. As far as like, I mean, it hasn't been base Kaido because he did use his hybrid forms and his devil fruit forms, but he's not really. It don't seem like he's been using a lot of. At least armament haki. I'm not saying he hasn't used haki because in those clashes, he's obviously been using haki. But as far as to protect himself and for attacks, I don't think he's really been using haki that often. Not observation or armament. Maybe armament at some points. You know, like when he hits Luffy with his club.
Then you have armament that uses black coating. The black coating represents the spiritual energy being used to strengthen and make a person more durable. I believe the Lunarians somehow learned how to use both at the same time. Combining the two may seem redundant, but is necessary because the extra durability requires more heat resistance. This isn't an entirely new concept. Recently, Sanji got an inherently tough body, like a demon, but he then added his armament haki to give himself more heat resistance. Sanji had forced evolution to achieve that tough body, so how did the Lunarians succeed? I highly doubt it was Tekai. First off, Rokushiki usually require many years of physical training, and secondly, the angels have an affinity towards spiritual, not the physical. They would need some way to apply all that spiritual power to their physical body in a consistent and possibly even permanent way. If it involves converting the spiritual into physical, then it must involve black coating, and there is an example of permanent black coating in the story. Do you remember when Zoro used Shisui to cut Monet? We know that Shisui is a blade turned black by haki, yet didn't physically cut a Logia like Monet. This is something I talk about in part 1. In which I state that I believe the method used to turn blades black originates from the Lunarians. The Lunarians made it so that the spiritual energy used to coat themselves black was stored inside them so that they don't have to constantly exert themselves. In the same way that black blades can remain coated in armament haki despite not having the energy imbued in them, I believe that Lunarians learn how to apply haki to themselves without actually having to presently imbue themselves with armament. Basically, I'm saying that they converted.
So pretty much what you're saying is like they almost what's the word? Coat themselves in like a permanent shield of haki, kind of like the black swords are kind of like maybe like the black of the black swords is like a permanent coating of haki. So I would assume you mean like the Lunarians coat their bodies with a permanent thing of haki, which Which I don't know if King's body is black or if that's just his clothes, you know. Because we seen his face and it's not like, you know, he's like, his face isn't coated black, you know. You know, he looked like he's kind of like kind of like the same complexion of a Shandian or something. So I'm just trying to put these together. But maybe you could coat yourself with a permanent coat of hockey without turning black like a black sword. Like, let's say maybe that's what Kaido did, or kind of like what you said about Big Mom earlier. You know, like maybe she just has an innate coating of hockey around her body, and that's why she is so tough. You know, and that probably is the same with Kaido as well, where it's like a innate shield, an innate shielding of hockey.
Converted the spiritual energy into tangible physical durability. Think of it as stockpiling their energy over time so that they can use it in the future. They then designated where this stockpile of energy goes. That would be their wings. That's how they're able to layer the armor. Just as Ryoma was able to create permanent physical change to Shisui, Lunarians learned to do the same to their bodies and most specifically their wings. Let's call the black coating on their wings retro hockey. The physical body is now strengthened by the hockey they stored up in the past, and they can still put on a coat of spiritual armor using the energy of the present. However, even that isn't enough. They had to go further beyond.
Let me go back and read that. ELiDZ said that is melanin. He's dark from armament. That's what Robin was doing before the time skip. Just kidding. Man. I mean, it is. He do got some melanin in him, though. You know, it definitely does have. He is definitely a melanated character. But yeah, let me read this real quick. Basically, it is like what Sanji did, but instead of having an exoskeleton, the Lunarians turned their spiritual energy into physical strength and durability with retro armament hockey.
They stored up in the past, and they can still put on a coat of spiritual armor using the energy of the present. However, even that isn't enough. They had to go further beyond. All the layers they had to protect their outside is good and all, but they still need to address their inside. Rather than just adapting to the stone of their surroundings, they also adapted to the heat. Unlike the demons, they didn't become cold on the inside. Instead, they became one with the fiery hell. I'm sure whatever led them to having to flee into the Red Sea filled their...
Let me read this. Question. Nice to meet you, Odachi. I finally sent you a postcard. The question is serious, so please give me a proper answer. It's about the technique that Sanji used to defeat Jabra. Shouldn't the heat have been incredible given the effect it had on Jabra? Does Sanji ever think to himself, "Ow, that's hot. Tell me." And then Oda says, "What are you talking about? What are you talking What are you talking about? What are you talking about? Can't you see anything? What were you looking at during the fight? That Sanji's feet were hot. They weren't that hot. I mean, come on, Sanji's heart was burning way hotter." That sounds like an Oda answer. ELiDZ said, "I don't think that the Lunarians do is exactly like Black Blades. Black Blades are one-dimensional. The swords just get tougher. I think the Lunarians stockpile their hockey, which is primarily used to toughen their body, but can also be used to empower other hockey techniques." Okay, so it's just like they're just kind of saving hockey, you know, that's making them stronger, like storing up a bunch of hockey within them and pretty much, using that to empower themselves by like saving it, by piling it up, stockpiling it.
Their hearts with anger and hatred. With that being said, how is it that they obtain fire powers? Well, if you've been following my channel, you know that I believe fire is the third form of armament. Now you might be wondering, if the demons were superior at using armament, how is it that the Lunarians would be able to surpass their level of armament hockey? Channel,
let me look at this real quick. One time for the one. So first you got the root, right, which is Earth, hardening, Rokushiki, Virgo, and Lucci's color. Okay. So that's when you get the black coating on your arms, and you punch somebody, you hit them with that red hawk. You know what I'm saying? And then the second is the sacral, which is water. It's the fluid aura, shockwaves, Ryu, Sentomaru, and Jinbei's color. I would probably include Zoro. I don't know. Would you include the was not the breath of all things? Yeah, the breath of all things in there. Maybe not like the ability to cut nothing and cut everything. I don't know. But third, you got fire, the hot aura, which is the red hawk, the Hail Mary, or the Hell's Memories, King and Kinemon's color. Yeah.
I believe fire is the third form of armament. Now you might be wondering, if the demons were superior at using armament, how is it that the Lunarians would be able to surpass their level of armament hockey? If the demons are using armament hockey inherently 24/7, surely they would be better and be using the fire level of armament hockey already. Well, the answer to that is yes and no. Yes, the demons would be better at using armament hardening. However, that means they're really only good at using that low level of armament hockey they focus all their abilities towards.
Okay.
You see, they're excelling in a physical ability, whereas the higher level of armament hockeys are spiritual abilities. And even when the demons are concentrating their...
So pretty much the demons are... So pretty much you would say that the demons are one-dimensional in their hockey mastery, and that's more of it's more of a natural, like a natural mastery. Not really like they train to be good at that solid form of armament hockey. They're just naturally gifted that way. So it's almost like you got a basketball player, who's just naturally good. They don't, like a basketball player who's just naturally athletic. They're just they're not one dimensional, but they're one dimensional in the sense where that's more so they're just dependent on their athleticism versus, Lunarians who might have been more, they had to become better. They had to train. They had to become versatile. They had to get better in different aspects in order to be better than what they were around, I would assume. Like they were fighting from under, so they had to be better, I guess. So they had to train not only the hardening aspect, they also because I guess earlier you said something about them being spiritual. So they had to train the physical part, but they also were already spiritual. So, they already were spiritual. So they had a leg up on that part, but they were forced to be physical as well. So now they got the best of both worlds versus the demons who were just, they were there. They were already in this hell. They were already in this hell. So they were already physically adept to surviving in this hell, and they had no reason to get better, like spiritually. You know what I'm saying? So that's kind of what I'm kind of getting. ELiDZ said, I imagine the demons are barbaric. Just look at how Or's dress. They're like a barbarian. And the iconic weapons of Onis is literally a clubbed weapon. They even fight like cavemen. That's true. You know, they're very simplistic. You know what I'm saying? They're like, you know, they're simplistic. You know, you got like crocodiles, right? Crocodiles and alligators. They never really had to evolve. You know, they never really had to evolve. I mean, sure, they might have evolved a little bit. You know, maybe they got a little smaller than they were when they were around. You know, they supposedly crocodiles and alligators been around since the dinosaurs. You know, they outlived the dinosaurs and they're still around today. And when you look at with them, they hardly evolved. They're very basic in a sense, but it works for them in their survival. Where you got other animals who they were forced to evolve and, you know, pick up different things, you know, pick up different strengths in order to continue surviving. And I look at like Oars and Kaido, like, you know, they're kind of in a position where they don't necessarily need to evolve because they're just they're already built almost perfectly. You know, you could say they're almost built perfectly for survival. But yeah.
Their haki on this physical ability, they are doing so unconsciously. So you can't credit their wisdom as the reason why they excel so much at this haki. And without the wisdom, they aren't going to consciously learn how to use a higher level of armament. Without this wisdom, they wouldn't know how to change the way they use their armament haki. This would actually be a similar concept.
The demons excel at armament and angels at observation. Oh, so you're saying the demons excel at armament and angels excel at observation. The dark angels can use both. Lunarians have the advantage of knowing about both observation and armament haki. Thus, they have a better understanding of what haki is capable of. So pretty much they were just smarter than the demons. You know, the demons were just pretty much, they were great at haki because they just naturally had to be. You know what I'm saying? That's kind of what I get. They just naturally had to be great at haki, or at least armament haki. As for the angels, they were probably I would say they might have been somewhat naturally adept to armament or observation. They was probably naturally adept to observation, and then when they were, you know, possibly forced to migrate to the Red Sea or this hell that we have, they had to become good, and they had to become good at armament haki, and not just good, they had to become great at armament haki in order to survive in such harsh environments versus demons who were just naturally good at it, you know, over hundreds and hundreds of years, probably thousands of years of evolution. They were probably just naturally good at armament haki in order to survive in such harsh environments.
To how the Skypians most likely didn't know that haki could be used in other ways other than observation. Speaking of which, observation haki is mostly spiritual and barely has physical applications, and that would be the very reason why Lunarians would be better at using advanced armament haki than the demons. He clearly should know there are more levels of armament haki, yet clearly chose to focus his efforts on strengthening his armament hardening. In fact, Virgo is known as the demon bamboo. This is something I addressed in my Understanding Haki. I used Virgo and Sanji to explain what could perfectly replicate the difference between angels and demons.
Bro, that man Virgo was a beast at freaking armament hockey. Him and Pika, you know, because Pika did the full body armament as well. But was Pika able to actually turn his I guess when he went into his big stone form, and even though it's not really a form, because it's not like he was a Logia or a zone turning into stone. He was just, his body was within all this stone, but he was controlling all this stone. And I wonder if he could, like, maybe, like, how much I wonder if, like, because I don't remember. Maybe he did it in Dressrosa. So somebody correct me if I'm wrong. Did he make his stone form armament hockey as well? Or, because I would think something like that, like a feat of something like that'd be taxing as far as, you know, hockey use. Like, that would probably be, like, if he tried to do something like that, he probably wouldn't be able to do it that long. Because, you know, you're making all this area of stone, you're turning all of it into, you're coating all of it in the armament hockey. So it's like, that would seem like a lot of energy. Because we know that, like, using armament hockey is, you know, it's finite to a degree, you know, depending on how much of a master you are at it. But it is definitely almost like stamina. Like, there's a stamina level of using armament hockey, right? Because we seen Luffy when Luffy first used Gear 4, and when he used Gear 4 in Whole Cake Island, you know, it was only, he could only do it for so long, and then after that he had to pretty much rest for like 5-10 minutes in order for his armament hockey to pretty much recover. Like, his armament hockey stores to recover. But, like, you know, kind of based off of what ELiDZ said, man, the Lunarians must have like if they were storing all this armament hockey up in their bodies, they probably could go for a while. They could probably use armament hockey for a while. So, like, I wonder, somebody like Lunarian, like, or somebody like King, let's say if you gave King Pika's devil fruit, right? You gave King's Pika devil fruit. And let's say he does, like, you know, these Lunarians do store up all this hockey. Would he be able to do something of that level as far as coating a whole massive rock body full of armament hockey? Because that'd be dope. That'd be OP as hell to be able to create like a big ass rock body of yourself and then coat it all in armament hockey. That'd be ridiculous.
Another thing I've been asked many times is how is it that Sanji can use a third level armament when he hasn't shown to be exceptionally skilled with the first or second form? And it's true, someone like Zoro has shown to be much more skilled.
So who in the Straw Hat crew can use hockey? I'm so curious. I can't even cause any love hurricanes. Kaku Haru. It's these three inside the parentheses are the types they specialize in. So Luffy's the Supreme King, Zoro's the armament, Sanji's observation, and now we know Usopp. We know Usopp has observation hockey. I want to say it's pretty much confirmed that Chopper has armament hockey as well, because when he blocked that sword attack when they was about to kill Hyogoro, after, you know, because Hyogoro was infected by the Ice Oni plague, and Chopper pretty much stopped that sword. I mean, it's hard to see because Chopper was so little in that panel, and his arm was even smaller. But I'm pretty sure he was using armament hockey at that point. He was using armament at that point. And then if we talk about the other Straw Hats, I mean, I think those are pretty much the only confirmed cases, other than Jinbei being a new member, of course. I would think somebody like Nami probably would have a observation type hockey, you know, because her being a navigator, like, if she ever gets hockey, you know, I see her being a navigator, and we know how good, like, you got to be able to tell weather, right? You have to be able to tell, like, weather phenomenons that's about to occur in order to avoid it. And Nami has always been good at that, right? So I could see her possibly having something like an observation type hockey. Robin maybe like an armament hockey possibly. You know, since her attacks are a lot physical, even though she's like springing her arms, she's like sprouting her arms on people's bodies and, you know, using wrestling holds to take them down and stuff. So I could see her being like an armament holder, you know, somebody who specializes in armament. Chopper, I think, like I said, I think he has armament. I think that was armament he was pretty much using. Frankie is a physical person. Him building stuff and things like that. I would see Frankie being armament. That, you know, what'd be dope, bro. You know, what'd be dope if Frankie get like if Frankie learns armament hockey and he's able to like he's able to coat his whole body. You know, kind of like Virgo or Pika. Like, I think seeing like a hockey and coated Frankie would be pretty dope, especially as big as he is. And then who else we got? We got Brooke. I would see Brooke possibly being a Conqueror's hockey specialist. You know, kind of like what I want to say what ELiDZ said about his Soul Scream is like Conqueror's hockey. I could see Brooke having like Conqueror's hockey. You call it the King's hockey, right? The Supreme King. Brooke, we look at Brooke as the Soul King, right? So in a sense, Brooke is a king. Brooke is a king as well. So I could see him having like a Conqueror's hockey. But realistically, maybe something like armament, maybe. But not just normal armament, maybe possibly like Rio. You know, something where he could actually extend the hockey and not just coat himself. But you could also say he's a very spiritual person, so it could possibly be observation. You know, like maybe he could look into somebody's soul and, you know, like maybe he'll have like a deep level of observation, if not armament. And I think that's all the Straw Hats I talked about: Zoro, Sanji, Luffy, Chopper, Nami, Usopp. Because Usopp's already confirmed to have hockey, which makes sense for his skill set. Frankie, Jinbei, and Robin. Cube said Frankie is the Terminator. I'll be back. Pretty much. Pretty much he is the Terminator. Armament will go well. Yeah, I think it will, man. You know, because he already kind of is like made of metal. So just imagine strengthening his already metal body. And then he said, I feel like Frankie will use lasers to boost up his speed like Coupe d'Event. I think Frankie might actually, like, especially after Wino, I believe Frankie is going to probably pick up some of Queen's technology. He's going to probably learn some of Queen's technology, and that's going to be his power-up. I think that's going to be Frankie's power-up is, like, learning, you know, I mean, I don't know what just yet, but, because I remember that one panel where Sanji seen, when Queen did something, and Sanji was like, yeah, Frankie would probably be interested in something like that. Like, Sanji brought up Frankie. And Cube says Sanji is also a king. He's the Cook King. I mean, but Sanji is royalty. I honestly, I think Sanji, Zoro are both capable of learning Conquerors. I think Zoro has already got Conquerors. I think he already kind of, in the recent chapter, he showed that he has Conquerors hockey. But like when you look at Zoro's Zoro's goal is to be the greatest swordsman in the world. You know, is to be the best swordsman in the world, right? That is like a title. That's a title that's almost comparable to king. You might as well call him the Sword King, the king of swordsmen or something. So it would make sense for Zoro to have Conqueror's Haki. Sanji as well. Sanji is already royalty, right? He's a little less than Zoro and Luffy because he doesn't have any goals to be like the best of anything, but he has like that determination that I would see from a king possibly, with his passions, He's very strict in his code like a king. And then Cube said Nami might already have observational haki. That's true. I mean, the way she could like predict weather patterns. I mean, it's almost inhuman. It's almost inhuman. But I think Nami also got armament as well, though, because the way she be beating up Luffy, Zoro, Nami was probably the first the first straw hat with any type of haki. Honestly, if we being real here. But yeah, you said she's in tune with the climate. She felt changes in the calm belt where the weather is completely random. Exactly. I agree with you on that. Like predicted a cyclone. And then you said Zoro has Enma demands he doesn't give it. So he does have it. And then Cube said contrary to what my cousin believes. What does your cousin believe? Your cousin believes that Zoro gives in to Enma's demands. Is that what you're saying? Let's continue. Or Cube said, I thought at one point that Nami was Uranus. That's actually an interesting thought. Nami being Uranus. Pause. That's actually interesting, Like maybe Uranus is like so hard to find because it's so random. You know what I'm saying? And maybe it could be a person. Because I already said Uranus has something to do with the weather, right? And it would be similar to Poseidon, except different because it's a lot more random. It's a lot more randomized. So where you got Poseidon, who is usually a mermaid princess, right? Uranus is usually kind of like a random person. It could be almost anybody. And it would make sense that this whole time Luffy has had Uranus right by his side. Like, I actually never thought it. You actually gave me something to think about, Cube. I appreciate that. That's actually an interesting idea you gave me. That my cousin believes the conqueror comes from Enma. So your cousin believes that Conqueror's Haki comes from Enma, is what you saying? I'm not sure. So Cube says she had so many similarities with Vivi and Shirahoshi. And Vivi is speculate to help them get Pluton. You know something, now that you say that, right? Nami, right? Nami's mom, like, she adopted Nami because Nami was like wasn't like Nami didn't Nami's mom find Nami while she was like out on on one of her explorations. She find Nami? Because if that is the case, if Nami was pretty much found and adopted, where did Nami come from? Maybe she was royalty. Maybe Nami was royalty as well, and she had to be saved. Maybe they had to like save her by like abandon her somewhere. You know, like get her away from any type of trouble. And maybe she has royal blood, which might make her Uranus. You know, because I'd already said that Uranus could be something to do with weather, right? I kind of think it's a machine that has to do with weather, that can manipulate weather, and like it manipulates weather, and it had to be operated by giants. You know, that was kind of my theory on it. But you kind of gave me something to think about. I might have to revisit this. I might have to revisit the whole Nami and Uranus talk, because to me that's an interesting theory. That's interesting to me. And then you said Shirahoshi even told Nami that she felt a connection between them, and Nami just said with have similar backgrounds with my smile. Yep, her adoptive mom was a world government who brought Nami and her sister, who immediately retired at a very young age. Man, we might have to. Oh man, I got to do some research on Nami. I gotta do some research. I might need you to send me the panels with Shirahoshi telling Nami what you just told me, her and Vivi. Cause I might have to I might have to do a theory with this, cause yeah, I like that, man. Cube, here's what you just did. That's what you just did. You just blew my mind right there. We're not even talking about your the ancient weapons right now. And then, but yeah, all right, let's continue.
With the first and second level armament. In fact, Oda has said that Zoro specializes in armament. With that in mind, wouldn't it make more sense for Zoro to be the one using fire? Not necessarily, and here's my reasons. First off, I don't believe Sanji trained to use the third level armament. As I explained in the last video, it is subconsciously activated due to traumatic memories, hence why it is called Hell's Memories. To add to that, with some info brought up in this video, we have to take into account how emotional Sanji is. Emotions have often shown to be a way for people that don't know how to properly use Haki to still display its abilities. So yes, I agree, it wouldn't make...
Let me read this. Question. Nice to meet you, Odachi. I finally sent you a postcard. The question is serious, so please give me a proper answer. It's about... Oh, we already read that. Okay, we read that already.
Make much sense for him to have learned the third form without getting a good grasp of the prior forms. However, I never claimed that he properly learned the third level of armament Haki. I believe it was a power he just realized he could use out of nowhere. Now, I know that sounds ridiculous, but that's actually the very same way he learned to use Skywalk, aka Moonwalk, which is Rogushiki, aka Haki. Check out that video if you haven't. Secondly, while it may seem like it shouldn't make much sense for someone that specializes in observation to subconsciously learn a high-level armament, it actually makes perfect sense in the context of chakra and the color spectrum. Let's take a quick look at someone that has been specializing in armament for over a decade. I may have clowned on Virgo for using basic armament in part 2, but I don't actually think he hasn't advanced his armament because he isn't good enough. I believe it's because he knows which color of Haki he specializes in, and decided to stick to that. Let's say the color of his Haki, aka Spirit, is red for root chakra. So what this means is that even though Virgo specializes in armament Haki, he even more so specializes in armament in its most physical form, aka hardening. Sanji, on the other hand, is a more spiritual person, so as someone that specializes in observation, it only makes sense that he would be better off using an armament ability that is more spiritual. If Sanji's Haki had color, I would assume it was green, because he seems to be most in tune with his heart. Recall when I said this. Heart chakra is quite close to the solar plexus, thus it's much easier to count on your gut instincts. When you consider that the heart and solar chakras are right next to each other, it isn't as outrageous that Sanji would use the third form of armament. And quite frankly, he needs it in order to keep up with physically superior opponents like Virgo. What he doesn't have in physical strength, he'll make up with the power of his fiery spirit. In conclusion, what we've learned is that your power level isn't determined by the color of your hockey. In my chakra theory, I speculate that Armament correlates to the first 3 of the 7 chakras, the root, sacral, and solar plexus, which are respectively earth, water, and fire. We've talked plenty about earth and fire, but what about water? The water element doesn't literally mean that the hockey master
there he is,
water,
Santa Mara,
rather
I
their
was talking
fluid
about.
aura. However, fishermen do use literal water in their techniques, and have you ever noticed how similar fisherman karate is to advanced armament hockey? Well, the fishermen live a vast amount of their time in and around water. Why do I bring this up? Well, if you look at the way King fights, he not only uses fire, but his fire can even become like magma. And just like how the fishermen have adapted to using advanced armament hockey, and therefore water, the same could be true for Lunarians and the power they gain from their environment. First off,
that does make a lot of sense though, because Rio does kind of remind me of Fishman karate a bit, like when you just see it, and you gotta. I would think you need to maybe infuse the Rio within like the water almost to kind of have somewhat control of it. So it's kind of like like Jinbei's pretty much, I would say, like infusing like the Rio within like, or fish, not Jinbei, but just Fishman karate in general is possibly like infusing, like when he hits you, it infuses with the blood, the liquid blood in a person's body. And, you know, it's almost like using the blood, someone's blood against them almost in a type of way. I kind of look at it. Q said, hit me up. I might have stuff. I've got a few stuff. Yeah, man, if you find anything about like with Nami, you know, that possibly, you know, show. And thinking about Nami is like, especially now she got this power boost with Zeus, you know, that could definitely be like, maybe if she improves upon it to where she could like affect a very even larger area with Zeus, you know what I'm saying? Because now Zeus is infused with the Climb Attack, so Zeus could probably even be powerful. Just the fact that he's already like he's infused with Nami's weapon that manipulates weather as well. So like her weather control abilities could be like ridiculous after Wano. Like it could be like crazy. And yeah, I don't know, man. I think there's some validity to that whole Nami theory. But as far as Rio and the Fishman karate, yeah, man, I think there definitely is some relation with Fishman karate and Rio, you know. Because you look at Fishman, you look at Jinbei. When you look at Jinbei, just Jinbei, his whole demeanor almost kind of fits like the Japan, or maybe not Japan, maybe China, like the China culture, like, you know. And we see Wano, which is like Japanese culture, and they're like the samurai are very disciplined, very spiritual, all these things, and they use Rio, right? They're masters at Rio. And I would think that also, because you look at it, you think of it like swordsmanship is a form of martial arts, and so is Fishman karate is a form of martial arts. So I would go as far to say that Rio is definitely a something that's like something that a martial artist would be more adept to picking up and learning and mastering, you know. But yeah, Q said ELiDZ sold me on the idea he sold you on the idea that Nami is Uranus? Is that what you're talking about? He said his explanation makes sense. I agree with you. Let's continue.
If they did live in the Red Sea, which is surrounded by magma, then it makes perfect sense why kings on attacks use magma. Also, the two elements I propose the Lunarians mastered are the root and solar chakra, earth and fire. According to Naruto logic, if you mix fire and earth chakra together, you get lava. Makes perfect sense to me.
I was just about to say that
I'm
too,
gonna
man.
put on my Vegapunk lab coat and give my hypothesis explaining why King can conjure magma. Just like how I said earlier that the sacral...
Like right before you made that point, for some reason I was thinking about the lava bender in Naruto, or not Naruto, in Avatar, like Legend of Korra. Like you had the lava bender, and I was thinking of, like, you know, lava kind of being like liquid fire. You know, it's like so it would be like fire and earth, like lava, magma, like you're saying, is fire and earth. But when you get fire and earth and you combine it, they become liquid. You know, like, because magma is a form of a liquid. You know, so. But ELiDZ, where would plasma be? You know, somebody like Kizaru or something. You know, that's just kind of something I'm just throwing out. It might not be related to the video, but where would plasma be? Like, how would that relate to all this in hockey? Like something like plasma, like light, or is light considered plasma? Maybe electric is. I think electric is considered plasma. I don't really remember, but you said Jinbei is based the Indian nationality. It is. I always thought he kind of dressed like maybe somebody from China, like from China or something. That's interesting. ELiDZ said karate originates from Japan and it was developed from the indigenous Ryukyuan martial arts. And then Cube says hockey and elemental relations as well for where the Oni grew up in hell. The ELiDZ said lighting is heavily linked to Conqueror's hockey. Also, man, I mean, Kizaru might have some Conqueror's hockey in the mud. But when you think of it, you know, you say Conqueror's hockey is linked to the mind, and you see Kizaru's kind of like, you know, like when it comes to his head, I think he kind of like moves. He like, I don't want to say he's slow, like not like mentally slow or nothing, but you know, like I don't know, I don't know what I'm trying to say. Let's continue the video.
Chakra doesn't use literal water. The same is true of the solar plexus. The flame on King's back isn't actual fire, but rather his aura vibrating at a frequency that imitates fire. As a result, he can do all the same things to that flame that he can do to his aura in its regular state. If you recall when we were talking about retro hockey, I said the Lunarians learn how to turn their spiritual energy into something that is physical and tangible. This would explain why retro hockey makes a black blade heavier. If a Lunarian can make their regular aura physical, then the same can be true for their fiery aura. This explains why King gets faster when the flame on his back goes out. King strengthened his flame by applying his ability to make it tangible. Whereas Sanji upgraded his Diable Jamba by increasing the fire granted by the solar plexus, King instead applied the hardening abilities of the root chakra to the fire of the solar plexus, hardening the fire to the point at which it becomes rock hard. Apply intense heat to rock and you get magma. Now, King is also shown to stretch his body for some reason, but I'll go over that in part 3.
Yeah, that's wild how he able to just stretch his body. I mean, I always kind of look at it like One Piece logic. You know what I'm saying? Like how when Kaku and Zoro are fighting and he goes into his giraffe form and he turns into like this box and they say, oh yeah, this is what giraffes do. And like that's not what giraffes do. By no means. And then when Queen what did Queen do? Where I can't remember what Queen did. But anyway, ELiDZ said lighting is heavily linked to Conqueror's hockey. Oh yeah, I read that. Then he said Cube said, damn right, my boy Kizaru has to have it. I mean, I don't know if he has it for sure, but it'd be dope. I would think that the Admirals, you know, I ain't saying they should have it, but maybe they have it. Maybe they have it. Man, ELiDZ spitting facts. He do be spitting some facts. I won't even hold you on that one. Then Q said, really makes sense the explanation of King's flame and the speed. Ooh, smoothie burp.
Queen said that Lunarians are capable of living in any environment. I think most people assume this means being able to live on the moon, but we seen Snail was just fine on the moon, and so were those space pirates. I'd say being in a place that is comparable to hell is a more impressive feat. To summarize, the reason I think Lunarians can survive on the Red Sea was them learning to increase their hardening ability, combine Lunarian's super tough body and heat resistance, and it would explain why King subjects his own self to point-blank explosions. And that might not be the only self-harming King enacts. Think about this. If I'm claiming the harsh environment of the Red Sea made Lunarians stronger, then how come King is so strong yet seemingly lived much of his life on the Blue Sea?
Let me see. He may not be able to fly because of all the hockey stored in his wings and the extra hardening, plus weight added for more durability.
Seemingly lived much of his life on the Blue Sea.
But yeah, to answer that question, I would think maybe like kind of like your explanation of how the Lunarians went to the Red Sea. They had to be able to store up the hockey, in order to make, they pretty much had to grow in their armament hockey, and they had to maybe they're adapt to storing up hockey. Maybe they just evolved over time to be able to naturally be able to, like, their bodies just had to evolve. Like when they first got there, they had to discover a way to survive in this climate. But at the point maybe King was born, maybe evolution just made them more naturally acclimated to surviving in such climates. That's what I kind of would get from that. Q said really makes sense the explanation of King's flame and the speed. ELiDZ says Kaku is using Rokushiki and Queen used the power of science. Yeah. No, I agree, but there was a point where he said something about like, yeah, this is what what is this devil? What dinosaur is he based off of? Not a Stegosaurus. I forget what, a Brachiosaurus. So he's like, yeah, this is what like a Brachiosaurus do, and it's like that's not what they do. But yeah, definitely he does use a lot of science in his in his fighting style. OP is wacky, but often there is an explanation for why they characters do elaborate things. Oh, I agree with that. That's why I love theory crafting in OP. Oda doesn't just do things willy-nilly. You can usually find a reason to make sense of things. Yeah, I agree with you. I think there are some things he might just kind of jokingly do. Like, I think there are some things that he does jokingly do willy-nilly, but usually, a lot of times there are explanations. Like, I would say, like, when Nami punches Luffy, and, like, early in the series when she was punching Luffy and she hurt him, like, I don't know if there's any real reason, unless she really does have armament hockey, but I think that's, like, one of them running gags that just ain't really meant to be taken serious. But maybe they are meant to be taken serious. Again, maybe Nami is Uranus, and maybe she has armament hockey. I don't know. Cube says, same. One Piece makes theory crafting as much fun as reading or watching One Piece, in my opinion. No, I agree with you guys on that. I definitely agree with you. That's part of what made me fall in love with the community, the culture of One Piece, the community of One Piece. It's just all these different theories and how they kind of, you could find, like, if you look back in old chapters, you could find stuff that almost connects some theories, you know. So yeah, there's usually meaning to, there's a method to Oda's madness at times, which is great. And then ELiDZ said, I don't think the Lunarians were down on the Red Sea long enough to evolve biologically. They may have been down there for hundreds of years, but it usually takes thousands of years for beings with our lifespans to evolve. And OP humanoids have longer lifespans than real life. I kind of disagree with you on that. I think they've been down there longer. And the reason why I think they've been down there longer, because the sky races, right? If I remember correctly, they lived on the moon possibly before the Void Century, I think. I could be wrong. But I think they lived on the moon before, like a long time ago. They lived on the moon. And when we go to the moon, there's really no evidence, or there's no, like, nothing left over to showcase the Lunarians were ever around. Now maybe the Lunarians aren't really associated with the sky races like the Belkans, the Skypians, and the Shandians, but they were never once mentioned in any type of thing on the moon. So if they were indeed related to these sky races, I would think that the reason why they weren't mentioned was because they were probably kicked out of the pack along, like, way before this. And if these sky races lived on the moon before the Void Century, I would think that, you know, the Lunarians were kicked out of maybe these sky civilizations way before the Void Century, which mean I would think they was probably down there for a while, possibly. You know, like maybe down on Earth for a while. You know, maybe they didn't live in the Red Sea, you know, but they was at least away from the other sky races. Like, they was probably fallen before that time. And then when you look at the Bible, if you really, I know I keep linking this a lot about the Bible. You know, the fallen angels fell like pretty early in the Bible, you know. But yeah. Cube said there were maybe more than one moon. Yeah, there were more than one moon. Yeah, you mentioned it yourself. In O'Hara, we saw a replica of the planet surrounded by a few moons. Oh, so you're saying like maybe the Lunarians were on a different moon. I mean, that could be the case. Maybe, and that's why I say if they were associated with the other sky races, you know. But if they weren't associated with them, maybe they were just living on a different moon, you know. But the question is, why don't we see these other moons around? You know, why is there only one moon in the sky at a time when we see it? You know, even though that's not a question you have to really answer. That's just kind of you know, one of them questions you don't answer. I forget the word. But let's continue. Let's wrap this up.
When Kaido first met King, he claimed that they were performing endurance tests on him, which could have been putting him through simulations of a harsh environment. Putting his body through harm for the purpose of testing and strengthening his endurance may be something King continued even after leaving the world government facility. When we are first introduced to King, Queen calls him a torture-loving freak. It is never elaborated on, and most like myself assume that King was sadistic and tortured others. However, he may have been inflicting self-harm upon himself in order to strengthen his endurance. With all that being said, how is it that the demons and subsequently the Lunarians made their way into hell? Well, that's what we're going to be talking about in the next installment. So be on the lookout for part 3, and thank you for watching. That's it for Food for Thought. I made it short and sweet.
Alright, again, if you guys want to watch the rest of the video, I'm gonna leave the last 3 minutes for you guys to watch. I think he's gonna talk about it some more. I'm gonna probably watch it after, or I'm gonna watch it after the stream just to get an idea. Yeah. Yeah, man. It's good 3. I didn't know he was going to do a part 3, but we're going to get a part 3, and I'm gonna have to find the time to watch part. Well, I mean, again, I don't think he's made part 3 yet. Yeah. So after he makes part 3 and he drops part 3, I'm gonna definitely react to that. And as far as everything we talked about, we talked a lot about hockey. About we got the liquid form. You got like the fiery form, the liquid form. See, I would have thought he would have went with like gas or something, but he talked more about fire, I guess. And then you got the solid form, which is the lowest, I guess, form of armament hockey. And we talked about how the Lunarians pretty much went to the Red Sea, where they were surrounded by these demons, these demonic races, and a lot of them had to pretty much be. They had a pretty high level of base hockey, like the normal armament coating hockey, the lowest level hockey, but it was so high, right? But they didn't really have like the spiritual hockey, like they wasn't really spiritual beings, so they didn't have that spiritual wisdom and knowledge that, let's say, the Lunarians probably had when they got there. But the Lunarians was probably lacking the physicality, that physical hockey, that physical armament hockey. So yeah, they had to learn, they had to get better at the base level of hockey, as well as they continue with their spirituality. And it all in a sense just made them like better, probably superior to most other races in the Red Sea, at least as far as like their diverse knowledge of hockey. I might be oversimplifying it, or I might not be translating it as well as ELiDZ, but again, you guys could go back, watch the video. There might have been some stuff that I missed, that you missed. His videos are really good for going back and you learn something new. So definitely go back and rewatch it. If maybe there's some concepts that you didn't understand, I might have to go rewatch it again so I can get a better understanding of things. But yeah, that's pretty much that. Let me read some of these chats. ELiDZ said thank you for watching. So yeah, thank everybody who came in and watched the stream. Like I said, if you're just coming in or if you came in late, the link to the original video to his channel will be in the description box. Make sure you go like the video, go subscribe to his channel if you haven't already. He makes great One Piece theory content. Especially, he talks a lot about stuff that a lot of people not really talking about. Like not a lot of people breaking down hockey the way that he breaks it down. So yeah, ELiDZ said, I want to hear more about the Nami and Uranus connection. I want to hear more too, because it's definitely one of them things I'm gonna have to do some deeper research into. But yeah, you know, because that's interesting. You know, like, what if we find out Nami is a princess and she's kind of like Shirahoshi? She's Uranus, right? And you know, her thing is weather. You know, because my personal belief is that Uranus has something to do with weather, right? And we all know that Nami has something to do with weather, right? Like she is very attuned to how the weather is. She, you know, she uses a climate tech in order to do it. But who's to say she might not want? She, like, maybe her abilities might not awaken. You know, she might have some abilities that we don't know of, and they could awaken, and she might be able to control weather without a climate tech. You know, I know that's a stretch, but you know, just something I'm thinking of. Cause like we know, like, in Nami's backstory, we know she was pretty much adopted from she was adopted after she was found. You know, where did she come from? You know, we know, kind of like Sanji. Sanji was adopted kind of by like Zeph kind of adopted Sanji, and then by the time we get to Whole Cake, we learn that Sanji's a prince. You know, even though there was theories out there that been predicted that Sanji was a prince, and yeah, so who's to say Nami's not, like, maybe not a princess, but maybe she, you know, maybe she come from a place where, maybe she comes from a country where, you know, they believe in Uranus or whatever, and she is Uranus. You know, like think about it. When during the time skip, where did Nami go? You know, she went to a sky island. You know, and I already said that Uranus probably has something to do with like the sky. You know, like sky islands, because we know that Uranus is the god of the sky. I think that's what they call him. She goes to the sky. You know, learns more about weather and everything. So, you know, I don't have no theory on that just yet. Like, I don't have a established. It's something Q kind of like put in my head, honestly. But all right. Cube said thank you, and thanks Sean for sharing it. Hey man, thank ELiDZ. You know, ELiDZ for giving me something good to react to. But yeah, no problem. You're welcome. You know, I'm just trying to give you guys content here, you know. But I appreciate the appreciation. I appreciate the appreciation. Cube says, I do have 2 panels that showcase the idea why I think she might be Uranus or able to use Uranus. Send them to me. You could send them to me on Discord or Instagram. You know how to reach me. ELiDZ said you're spot on. I'm assuming when I kind of explained the hockeys and everything. Cube said that's why I think we might have a Nami reveal. Hey man, there could be more to Nami than we think, man. There could be more to Nami than we think. So that's what I'm gonna leave with. I'm gonna have to probably really research. It's just I have other theories that I've been just kind of sitting on. I ain't really done no research or, you know, prepared. Like, I gotta start doing this. You know, I'm not really a good theorist. I'm not really a good theory person. You know, as far as doing finding the right panels to use, and I'm not good with that stuff. You know, that's why I like more of the commentary. You know, but definitely I might have to do some actual research. I got some stuff I want to talk about Kizaru. I want to talk about Mihawk. Now I kind of want to talk about Nami. You know, I kind of talked about Lunarians, so that's not really much to, you know, worry about. You know, I think I've talked enough about Lunarians at this point. I'm gonna let ELiDZ continue, and I'm gonna just react to his theories on any theory related to Lunarians. I'm gonna just I'm playing, but yeah. So yeah, it's pretty much that's pretty much all I got. You know, it's a great video, great theory. You know, today's Thursday. I should be. Yeah, I'm gonna do another video on Saturday around this time. I got a job Saturday, but it should be. It shouldn't be work. It's early and shouldn't be long, so I should definitely be back in time to put that theory together. But on the off chance that something comes up to where, you know, I had to wait to do that theory, it might be an hour or two, you know. But I should do it around this time. The reaction to the law sword connection. And I might be dropping a video tomorrow, like a quick little video from one of the recent streams I've done. So yeah, that's what you could expect from me up till Saturday. Sunday we got a chapter, so I'm definitely gonna be doing a chapter discussion. So yeah, so that's what you guys can expect from me. If you haven't already, make sure you like the stream. Go to ELiDZ's video and go like his stream as well. That'll be very appreciated. Make sure you subscribe. Hit that subscribe button. Like I said before, I'm doing a giveaway at 50 subscribers. And yeah, follow me on Instagram, Twitter, my Facebook page. Links all in the description. And if you're looking for a One Piece community to be a part of, we have the Discord, the One Piece Discord, and we have a One Piece Facebook. Again, all of these will be in the description. And ELiDZ just dropped the chat, said, if all things work out for me, I'll have a video on Monday, the New World Nightmare Luffy. So he's talking about like Nightmare Luffy. I think we was talking about that like a couple streams ago. I was talking about like if Gecko Moria and Blackbeard go to Wano, we could possibly see a Gear 4 Nightmare Luffy. But you know, I don't want to go into that because I'm kind of I'm supposed to be wrapping this stream up. But yeah. Anyway, thank you, Cube, for you know, being part of the stream like you do. You know, you're always your presence is appreciated. I will say that. And ELiDZ, thank you for the content. You know, thank you for making a well thought out video for me to react to, and also thank you for you know interacting, being a part of the chat. You know, I always love when you make these chats. You know, I always like to hear your perspective on things. So I appreciate that, and I'm looking forward to doing part 3. I will say that if you do drop it on Monday, depending on when you drop it, maybe I could react to it on the same day or possibly Tuesday, if not Tuesday. But that's if you're able to drop it then. But you know, as long as you drop it next week, I'll definitely try to react to it next week. So there you go. And thanks everybody else who definitely tuned in. You know, tune into the stream, or if you tune in later, the video playback or whatever, I appreciate you. But anyway, it is your boy Sean P. the Bluff God. Hey, and I'm going. Y'all have a good Sunday. Or not Sunday. Y'all have a good Thursday. I'm out of here.